Good morning, everyone. Okay, we do have a quorum. This meeting is called to order. Ms. Huerta, would you please call the roll?
Chairwoman Carolyn Vaughn.
Here.
Board member Steve Banta is absent. Roland Barrera.
Here.
Oh, perfect.
Here.
Sylvia Campos. Here. Eric Antu is absent. Jesse Gilbert.
Present.
Ronald Graben.
Present.
Paulette Guajardo is absent. Gil Hernandez.
Here.
David Lowe, absent. Kaylin Paxson, absent. Mike Pesley.
Here.
Everett Roy.
Here.
Connie Scott is absent. Mark Scott.
Here.
Okay, we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you. We're going to begin with public comment. Would anyone like to make public comment?
Good morning. Board members, I would call you. My name's Carrie Meyer. I live on North Beach at 4401 Gulf Breeze Boulevard. I'm here today to, the TIRZ board evolves with every council because we get all new members sometimes and new leaders. So I just wanted to go back about 6 years ago when the TIRZ was first formed, and Carolyn Vaughn was here, Everett Roy, a few people were here for it, so it's nothing new to you, but I wanted to remind everyone 6 years ago what the focus was of the TIRZ. And I'm looking at the reinvestment zone project plan and financing plan. In the main gist of it, the main vision, it says the primary functions of the zone will be to support infrastructure projects, maintenance projects, development incentives, and then the administration of the zone, which is the money that the city gets for running this show. For example, on page 4, it says, if the TIRZ and the city council choose to fund them, the offshore area allows for potential inclusion of breakwater barriers. The breakwater islands, that's a huge project, very expensive, that no one's had any funding to do. That's something that the TIRZ could fund. In this 20 years that we're gonna have this thing, they said originally that infrastructure projects were gonna be $20 million. We're 6 years into it, we've done no infrastructure projects with the TIRZ funding. It was supposed to be 20 million, including residential streets, that's listed as one. Maintenance projects were supposed to be 2 million. This is over the life of the TIRZ. Incentives, development incentives were supposed to be about 18 million. So half and half public, half private, to encourage people to develop. But the main gist of the TIRZ was, into North Beach, we don't want it to look like a third world country, right? We want it to have nice sidewalks and nice streets, landscaping, lights, all that stuff, so that you go, oh, this is a nice place. This is Key Allegra. This is a nice place. Not, oh, what happened here? Why does this look so bad? Why are the roads filled with dirt and mud? And why are the sidewalks cracked? Or why are there no sidewalks at all? And that's what I always envisioned the TIRZ to be. And I was the first TIRZ community rep. Now we have Ronald Graben here, North Beach Community Association's president. We're really happy to have him in that seat. And we still haven't seen, though, we haven't seen the leadership bring public projects to the board to have them approved. In fact, there's not even a way to apply to have public projects done. What we did was sent Ariana Jones, who's on our board of directors from NBCA, last month to give you a list of all the public projects that you could fund. So from NBCA, I would like to say, please fund public projects with our taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Good morning, all. I'm Myra Angelica Holm. I'm resident of North Beach at the Harbors, and I'm here also just to voice that, like our stand and Carrie has said, and the rest of the North Beach residents, to consider funding these public projects. Infrastructure is very important. Yes, it's wonderful to see these businesses being supported that are there and to improve and look better, but we want to bring more to that. We also need that infrastructure, and right now we're super excited that SUP will be coming into North Beach with the new Harbor Bridge. And I have been part of an initiative to get some sidewalks over at our northwest corner where the lighthouse is. We don't even have connectivity within our own neighborhood, and yet we are very separated and segregated by that Highway 181, where all of our corner can't even access all of the existing sidewalks that are there and are coming. And that's one of the things that we would love that, could be also considered. And then North Beach has always been, our corner has always been on the map as well because we have a lot of flooding. So those are infrastructure problems where we are at the turnaround in that great lighthouse. And now we have the Aquabite Marketplace with those bubbles, if you've seen them, that is becoming super popular. And, I can picture one day even visitors coming into North Beach and being able to come on their bikes and have some lunch there. So again, we need the infrastructure so these businesses can also come and grow, and we can see further revitalization, and maybe not just the businesses that are currently there. So if you all can please consider that, and I know Ron Graben will be talking a little bit more about that as well this morning. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Warter, have you received any public comments?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Let's move to item D, the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, the meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're going to do the financial report, staff presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Sergio Villasan, Director of Finance and Procurement here. Included in your agenda packet are the financial statements for the Tax Reinvestment Zone number 4 as of March 31st, 2025. We do have a brief presentation on the financial position here for you. Jumping right into the presentation, we have slide number 2. It is a recap of your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes to fund balance as of March 31st, 2025. We start with your amended budget column and jumping right down to total revenues. Total revenues for as of March amounted, your budget-wise is, your budget for the fiscal year 2025 is $1.1 million, and your actuals that came in as of March 31st amount to about $1 million. This leaves about $111,000 yet for revenues to make budget. Jumping right down to total expenditures under amended budget. For the year, you budgeted $566,161. Actuals year-to-date spent are about roughly closely to $70,000 there. That leaves about $496,273 of available budget. Overall, we want to jump down here to your net change in fund balance. Jumping to your actual columns, you have and your net change was about $1 million, so revenues over expenditures of $1 million, adding to your beginning fund balance of $1.5 million. This leaves you an ending fund balance of about $2.5. And I'll take any questions on the financials here.
Does anyone have any questions? How do I get back out of here? I do. Okay. City Council, Campos. How do I get back?
Thank you. Thank you, Chairwoman. Okay, so Sergio, we just heard public comment about, we need to do more public-private projects, but I'm looking at the budget that you presented. Where is it that we could get this money to do any of those projects? Say, $1 million doesn't seem to be a whole lot, so I'm just wondering, what kind of project could we possibly do with? It doesn't seem that much in these days and times.
Sure. It'd be a tough question to answer, but I would imagine during your budget process, you can identify your revenue stream, right? So here, if we look at your current amended budget, you have total revenues of about $1.1 million. Total expenditures, so plan spent for this fiscal year is $566,000. You're adding about $615,000 to your fund balance. That leaves about 2.1 for future years of fund balance. Now, you do have future commitments, which we'll show in the next few pages. Future commitments, I don't have the grand total on those, but in the next slide we can kind of talk about, what's available for projects. But, being relatively still new to the city, we would need to look at what's in the TIRZ financing plan, what projects were designated for the use of those TIRZ funds, and probably start in there, and there probably should have been some infrastructure in there that we could probably gravitate to. So there may be some options during the budget discussion.
Okay, well, I'm just looking at it just realistically. I just don't see that much money in this TIRZ. Would that be reasonable, a reasonable observation?
Depending on the size of the project, right? 2.1 million may not go far for a major infrastructure or street project. So it does have fund balance. Depending on the size of the project, you'd be limited to that.
Okay, because, one of the things that my eyes, popped up was on sidewalks, because I'm a big proponent of sidewalks, right? So I'm just wondering, are there like certain projects that, let's say, sidewalks would not cost as much or would not be as much as putting a road, or something like that? So are we looking into those kinds of projects and saying, okay, this is what we can do with what we have? I guess, is that what you all discuss with the association? I don't really know how this works.
Good morning, Arturo Marquez, Director of Economic Development. I just want to clarify that the presentation is for the financial standing of, the TIRZ as sits today.
Okay.
There is a future presentation, 2 items from this agenda, where we'll discuss the actual budget for next year. There we'll talk about the budget balance that we have and will have for the upcoming year, and we'll have 2 meetings dedicated for the budget for the upcoming year.
I'm sorry, say it one more time. You're going to what?
We have the budget presentation for next year. Not the next item, but the following one. Mm-hmm. And in there, we'll have 2 meetings. This one will be the starting one, and then the next meeting will also be dedicated for the budget. During those conversations, we can talk about the projects and the availability of funds to, look into infrastructure and public projects.
Well, and the other thing that I did appreciate, Carrie's history, and this is what's missing in our institution, in our city government, is that we're losing that. We're losing the history as to some of these programs that we start, or like for example, this TIRZ, what was the main reason for having it? So I think it would be helpful, I know for me or for anyone, that sits here, is to remind us what it is that these are for. Just as a reminder, because every TIRZ is a little bit different, but I know, just realistically, it is supposed to provide economic development. At the end of the day, that's what it's supposed to do. But in their case, they're also asking for sidewalks. That, for me, would not fall, but maybe it would. I don't know. Would it fall under economic development?
Well, the projects themselves, again, they just kind of get routed to whatever specific project they are, maybe engineering, public works. But here, for the purpose of the TIRZ, we simply, kind of allocate the funding, and then internally we decide who those projects are assigned to. But yeah, we can certainly, like I said, we can talk about, the allocation of these funds.
Yeah, well, again, just me, or maybe I need to just remind myself that, when I come here, what is our main objective for each TIRZ. So I would like a little summary, or a little, I don't know, is there, I don't know where that's at. But again, it's just something that would be helpful for me. And if you let me know where I need to look, I will. Absolutely. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's, Commissioner Pusley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It might be interesting at one of these future meetings that they're speaking of that we look at on a percentage basis what this tax reinvestment zone is spending for public projects versus some of our other tax reinvestment zones. It's hard to compare dollar to dollar because of the difference in earnings and revenue that we're seeing in this particular tax reinvestment zone. It would probably also be helpful to, at that same time, share with this board and the community the amount of money that the city has allocated and budgeted for public type improvements that Mrs. Robinson was speaking about a few minutes ago, so that we have a comparison of those issues as well. I know before I left the council, we budgeted a significant amount of money for public kind of projects over on North Beach. So that might be something that we could present in a future meeting as well.
That's a great idea. Let's do that at one of the upcoming meetings. Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? Okay. Continue.
Okay, next we have our 5-year forecast of funds available for commitments. And here we start with your beginning fund balance column. We anticipate start the year fiscal year 2026 with about $2.1 million. Next column over, we have your annual estimated revenues. We keep those flat for conservative budgeting, and we're estimating about $1.1 million per year. Future incentives, we'll have some tables, spreadsheets behind this. They'll show the details to those future incentives. They range from $262,000 to about $402,000 in 2027. The next column over, we have admin and other expenses for servicing the TIRZ. Last column, we have the ending balance per fiscal year of funds available that we anticipate available for other commitments. And so that's ranging at the end of 2026 from 2.8 to 2030 of about 5.8 on the current trend. These would be subject to change as you budget or add more commitments to this TIRZ. Next, we have the project-specific development. These are based on additional revenue generated by these developments and would be reimbursed accordingly. We anticipate La Casita del Mar to have a potential commitment of about $229,883 to be paid out in fiscal years 2027 and forward. Next, we have the North Beach Living Initiative commitment. We also have La Casita del Mar project with a commitment of $140,000 expected to be realized in fiscal year 2027. Next, we have the North Beach property improvements. Here we have a total of $1.3 million committed to projects for Hotel de Ville, Beach Fajitaville, Blackbeard's Restaurant. I believe that's it as far as commitments. That is it. So that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any additional questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Commissioner Roy. I'm sorry, no Commissioner. Mike, it's you that's the Commissioner. City Council. I gotta remember that.
Starting rumors.
I'm sorry.
Just to go further with the.
Oh, did I knock you off?
Yes, you did.
Sorry. Can you put him back on? No, she did. Did it again. One more time. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just want to remind the public that one of the things that I've said multiple times to North Beach, and we've talked about it, we've had several actual meetings on just educational parts in terms of understanding what the TIRZ does and how it functions, is that if you take a look at the early days when the DMD was started, one of the first projects they had that was a simple project, but it was one that really benefited the downtown area, and I've suggested this project before for North Beach, is that they worked with a grant basically for sidewalks. And I think at the time, and Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was about $20,000. That was a grant for sidewalks. Mike, I don't know if you remember that. And then the other thing they had was on the first floor, if you were a building, then you could also have your windows replaced, and there were some security upgrades, and they were just concerned at that time with just safety. But there are programs out there, and they don't really, and those programs didn't really cost a lot when they were kicked off. But I think that's something that is achievable. So just hearing what you are asking for and what's important, and I think when we looked at the 7 different things that you as your association talked about as far as what you felt were important, I don't think, was sidewalks on there at the time, correct?
Not specifically if they were.
Okay, so I think that's something that we can look at and definitely add, you know, just like we were talking about the signage at Pier 99 and that. So I think that's a good idea, and I certainly, as a council member and a board member of this TIRZ, support that. But the other thing I wanted to just look at as far as the financial report goes is that, and we talked about this from the infancy stage of the TIRZ, and then you see as you get toward 2028 and 2030 how it grows exponentially. So, and that's typical because again, and I hate to keep using the DMD as an example, but when you go back and look at the infancy stages of the DMD and how much money they had, you know, there were limitations there, then it grew. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind. But those were some really good comments, and look forward to trying to help everybody. I think it is important to have safety and infrastructure on North Beach.
Thank you. I think what we need to do is probably get a priority list on the things that are most important to you guys and discuss those. Thank you so much for your report. No. Councilwoman Campos?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Okay, one other thing I just wanted to mention, only because it has been, you know, throughout the years, climate change, right? And since North Beach is below sea level, do we have, like, I guess, regular updates as to where North Beach, is it losing significant ground, or who would be the one to address that? Who looks into that?
Board member, we could look into that. This is probably outside of the financial report.
Well, only because, Mike, if we're going to continue to invest in North Beach, which, you know, we would love to, but, you know, I say that it is related only because we need to make sure that the money is being put in a sound area. So if we could get that information, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
We're going to move to agenda item 3, motion to approve a development reimbursement agreement with South Texas Hospitality LTD for exterior and interior improvements to the hotel located at 3200 East Surfside Boulevard. We have a presentation.
Hi, good morning, members of the board. Arturo Marquez, Director of Office of Economic Development. And we here bring you an item for a proposed project, a renovation project on the island, or on North Beach. So it is located at 3200 East Surfside. It is owned and operated by South Texas Hospitality Ltd. Since 1999. It's a 3-story hotel with direct beach access, which not many in Corpus Christi have. It has a restaurant, a bar, some meeting space, and an outdoor pool and patio. So it's been operated and owned since 1999, and it was operated as a Radisson Hotel up until the year 2020. In the year 2020, there was a $5 million investment for renovation and a transfer of flag. So what that means is that it went from a Radisson Hotel into a DoubleTree by Hilton. Now, this implied some modernization of rooms, some new amenities, and of course, a better and improved exterior. There has been ongoing investments, of which roughly equal to a little bit over $840,000, and that includes the change of the hurricane-type doors. Right now, there's been 99 that have been replaced, and there are additional more, I want to say roughly about 40 more that we'll go into in just a little bit, and of course, this brings up safety into the building. There have been some improvements to the common area and, of course, the upgrades, which bring it up to standard for a Hilton Hotel. This, of course, has resulted in the elevated experience, and it has enhanced the property value, and it is, of course, a key contributor to the North Beach, which, of course, serves a lot of the agencies that are surrounding it. Now, what is the project about? So what are they trying to do? This is a luxury conversion project, and essentially what they have is they have roughly about 3,500 square feet of unutilized space right now. And this would be changing that space from an unutilized space into luxury suites. This would entail 6 suites in total, 5 and 1 presidential suite. It is actually styled sort of like the Venetian-style luxury in Las Vegas. I do have some pictures to show. It's actually a really, really neat project, and it would offer, views for the water, which is something again that is very limited here in Corpus Christi. And what I mean by that is with access to a balcony and the views to the water. It will have floor-to-ceiling windows, and as I mentioned, it's 5 suites, roughly about 480 square feet for the suite, and 1,000 2,100 square feet for the presidential one. It will, of course, have upscaling finishes and fixtures, and again, we'll talk about that in just a second. Just a brief example of what the current condition is. Here we have, of course, the pictures of what it looks like today. They are demolishing everything just to kind of clean it up, and here is an example of what it would look like. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see these floor-to-ceiling windows and essentially a small space for a sitting area, which would be what you would see when you rent some of these hotels out. Again, very innovative, well, not innovative, but very classical, very relaxing sort of setting for this hotel. In addition to the rooms, there's also, additional portions of the project. That one includes the renovation of the parking lot, which would, of course, increase guest capacity. It'll improve the traffic flow of the area, and it'll support the expansion of the room inventory by adding these 6 new rooms. As I mentioned, there are, of course, the hurricane grade type of windows that are going to be replaced. We're speaking about 45 of them. Oops. 45 of them, to increase the guest safety and, of course, the durability of the building itself. As I mentioned before, $840,000 have already been implemented into this for the exchange of the windows in the other windows and rooms. However, these do not have that just yet. Just a project breakdown. So I'm going to go over 2 different slides. One of them is going to be the project breakdown, and of course, the other one is going to be the eligible cost, which is a little bit different. So the suites themselves are going to cost roughly about $714,000 to upgrade. The balcony doors are priced out roughly about $400,000 for all of them. The parking, it'll be $95,000. However, we are going to be presenting this today, but I just had a conversation with the developers and the owners, and there's a potential, I guess, new ideas at a later point, which I'm just going to give you that little teaser for now. The contingency, we are adding 10%, roughly about $120,000. And of course, we do have soft costs, which is your architecture and engineering at $36,000, and your FF&E, which is your fixed furnitures and equipment, at $100,000. Bringing the total project cost of about 1.4. Now, as I mentioned, not all of these costs are eligible for reimbursement. Usually, we do not reimburse on soft costs, which is your architecture and engineering, nor do we reimburse on your FF&E. So we're going to remove those, and we're going to be left with 1.3 in eligible costs for this project. Now, what is our suggestion? Our suggestion is that even though they're eligible for 50% reimbursement based on our current project and financing plan, we are suggesting that we do a 30%, bringing the total reimbursement cost to about $398,970. Now, we do anticipate the hotel rooms to be available in December 31st, 2026. However, again, I just had a conversation with the developer, and we do anticipate that to be a little bit sooner. So the payout, even though here on the presentation does state for fiscal year 2027, 2028, it is broken down into 2 payments. We would like to suggest to bring that down to fiscal year payment 2026 and 2027. So essentially, they'll be available a lot quicker than we anticipated, which is a good thing. Still, the payments will remain the same, $199,485. Again, it's a 2-split payment done in over a 2-year period. So, is that it? Yeah. So with that, I open up for any questions. I do have both Mr. Kumar and Mr. Patel here if you guys have any questions, and we also have the GC available if you guys have any specific questions in regards to the actual construction.
Councilwoman Paxson.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you for your presentation. This is certainly something that's exciting, and we really do value and appreciate the businesses on North Beach, what they bring to that area, how their presence reinvests in this area and allows us to have this type of a program. And I'm excited based on those preliminary photos. I can't wait. Hopefully I'll get to go out there and just have a staycation and try that, because that really does look exciting. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve amending the payment schedule to reflect 2026, 2027.
Okay, we have some other comments first. Thank you. Mr. Graven.
First of all, to answer...
Your mic's not on yet.
Press your button. Is your button pressed?
Answer to your question, Board Member Roy, sidewalks are on the priorities list for North Beach. I can show you pictures of streets that look worse than the photos of the rooms that were shown. So if we're going to get into a picture show, you know, I can do the same thing. What's important is that we incentivize development on North Beach, and so far we have not done that yet. And I appreciate your comments, because this is not part of a big picture to me of where we're going with things. I get this 72 hours ahead of time, and I'm asked to make a commitment to spend $400,000, which on North Beach is a lot of money. So before we start jumping around and saying we're going to fund this, we're going to fund that, we need to have a big picture and contextualize what we're trying to do on North Beach, because I don't see it. This is the 5th year for the TIRZ, and we've only funded private projects, nothing according to what the TIRZ allows for public projects, and there is no application process by which we can submit a public project. And I've discussed that, and nothing has happened. I've sent emails, nothing has happened with that. So based upon where I am right now, I can't support this only because I don't know enough about how it fits into the big picture of what we're doing on North Beach.
Is there no application process?
Yes, so if anything, I just want to point out to the people listening and people of the public, the department is new, so we definitely are working on having a better way of communicating. For the time being, I do ask that if anybody has questions about the process of application for anything that is related to TIRZ, I do urge you to call 361-826-4000. So
Let's do this. In the next meeting for the TIRZ meeting, let's include him.
yes, ma'am,
And that way we put whatever we need to put on the agenda.
will do.
Mr. Graven?
So I'm recommending that we just table this until we do what you suggested.
Okay. Commissioner Pusley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So my question is, why are you recommending a 20% reduction in the incentive that we normally?
Yeah, so the project and financing plan does allow for up to 50% reimbursement. We're considerate of the funding that we do have available. It being a new TIRZ, 5 years in the making, we do anticipate, again, other costs to be used for the funding. So again, it's our recommendation to do the 30%. And again, as a city, the city as a whole, when we're talking about incentives, typically the city's not necessarily policy, but rather best practice is to only allow up to 30% of reimbursement. So that's why we're suggesting 30%.
Okay. Well, again, I just want to reiterate, there's been a lot of discussion here about what we're doing with respect to public and private enhancements on North Beach. And again, we need to talk about the things that the city has allocated, the funding the city has allocated for public projects. And when I say public, I mean streets and sidewalks and parks and everything else that are going to be done with respect to the bonds that were voted on and passed here just a few months ago. So there needs to be an inclusive discussion about how that's going to come down with respect. And I certainly respect Mr. Graven and Mrs. Robinson's points of view. If you look at, and I've been involved in the downtown TIRZ since its inception, and the first 3 or 4 years, it didn't make very much money either, because we have to remember the TIRZ is funded by growth. And so it took 3 or 4 years before we began to accumulate the funds in the coffers to be able to spend on anything, whether it was public or private. But I think it's really important for us to blend those two together and make sure we're getting that message out. And again, I always go back to the city does many great things, and they just keep it all a secret because they never tell anybody what they're doing. So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hernandez?
Thank you. I think there might be a structural issue here, right? Because downtown has the downtown management district that also manages our TIRZ. The TIRZ on the island has the ISAC. You don't have that on North Beach. Okay, so that's probably going to be incumbent upon us or the city to try and put together the list of projects that need to be addressed, because no one's doing that right now. ISAC is doing it for the island. The downtown management district is doing it for the downtown area. So we need something to put those projects together. And now that might fall on you to put that something together or work with Public Works or something like that. But you got to identify the ones that are the low-hanging fruit that can make sure that that infrastructure can be utilized for, or to identify those particular projects that benefit everybody. Now, I don't want to derail what this project is, because like like Commissioner Pusley had mentioned, it's based on values. The more valuable property that increases, the more money goes into the TIRZ. So, and then when one property increases in value, the properties around it increase in value. The projects that we did, redoing the Fajitaville, the housing project, the improving the whatchamacallit, the the lighthouse too, but also the RV park. There's all these things that are improving the values, and that increases the money coming into the TIRZ. So I think we need a combination of both, but you're right, we don't have those projects for the public infrastructure. Now, we are doing, to Commissioner Pusley's, we are doing other things. We're improving the drainage through that project, through funding that we got through, what was it, ARPA funds, and then also the park. We redid the park out there, the bathrooms, new bathrooms. So there's a lot of things that are happening. I think we just need to, for this particular TIRZ, we need to identify those projects. So I think we can do both. We can walk and chew gum at the same time here. Let's try, but we got to come up with those lists. I don't think the two are mutually exclusive. Thank you.
Councilwoman Paxson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Couple of points. I do want to pause and hover over a statement echoed by Board Member Hernandez. So we do have ISAC on the island where we do have a TIRZ. They don't govern the TIRZ. They're more on the plan. They don't really govern that TIRZ, but I think to that thought process, like was mentioned, the downtown management district, I don't know that an ISAC type board is quite the same application in North Beach. Maybe something more like a stakeholders meeting. I know in Flower Bluff they do the Citizens Council, and that's a really vocal board that's very helpful. But to actually kind of go back to what Board Member Pusley was saying, I think what we're looking at is an area that has eligibility for a broad variety of funding. And I think what we're all tasked with, especially us on this board, is to look at and say, I've got a project coming before me that's going to increase value, it's going to increase hot tax, it's going to increase draw to North Beach. Overall, it's making a big improvement. And so the funding that we have in this TIRZ budget is something that's eligible to help increase this value by investing in this type of project. Whereas a bond or another public type funding, that has to be strictly more public type projects. And I think from what I've seen, and I'm only 3 months in, but it does seem like we've got some stuff slated through this public funding. There's been previous items. And so, like I said, something kind of like that Flower Bluff Citizens Council, like a stakeholders type meeting, bringing the minds together, may clarify what those different revenue streams are, what they're eligible for, and what the big picture is. But I still think that this is a great project that's going to bring a lot of value, and I do think this is an eligible source for them to get some support to that mission of enhancing. And I really want to see North Beach have all the support it can get, and I think this project would help with that. So I still do support it today, but I just wanted to put that out there.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So I did want to make mention that we do have a list of public projects that the city has completed or in the process of completing that the City Council did approve. So we just do need to provide that list to the TIRZ, and we will do that. Like Board Member Pusley, Hernandez, and Paxton said, we have currently our drainage project, the Linear Parkway, which could be a transformational project, It's a little over $10 million, and we broke ground on that a few months ago. So we'll go ahead and put that together. As far as forming a committee or whatnot, the city manager has assigned a staff member to be a liaison with the North Beach community as part of the linear project. So we do have somebody out there working on that, and he's actually here today, Ross Patchen. So I just wanted to mention that city manager did assign somebody internally to help with that.
Thank you. Councilman Scott.
I'll be quick. Lon, thank you. I look forward to the next meeting, kind of hearing the history, talk about the future. Don't want to pass up on this opportunity to improve what I think is an asset on North Beach, so I support the agenda item.
Thank you. Councilman Roy? You were on there.
Oh, my light must have been on. I'm done.
Okay,
I'm good.
Turn it off. Commissioner Pusley.
Quick as well. I just want to remind everyone that the North Beach has an association. They're very active, have been active for many, many years. And just before we started this year, they submitted a list of projects that they were very interested in. So they have a group over there, and they are quite vocal. And so Ms. Robinson led that group for many years. Now Mr. Graven does. So they have a list. So thank you.
Mr. Graven.
Real quick, the TIRZ is written for a specific purpose. Half of it was designated for public projects. What the city has done, we greatly appreciate any work that they have, but that's separate from what the TIRZ is allocated to do. I just want to make that point.
Thank you. Councilman Roy.
Yes. I think, as I stated earlier, we've had multiple meetings with your association, and in terms of educating, we have people come down and talk about the TIRZ and how it works. What I would like to do, and I think would help, is if we could do another meeting and carry this conversation, this dialogue further, because I think the part that's missing is that when it comes to the items, and I know you have your list of 7 things, but we just need to sit there and I think we need to clarify some of those things a little bit more in terms of being really specific and make it project oriented. And then we can have the liaison. I can have my assistant city manager, Sony, attend that meeting, and who else needs to attend that. But I just think we need to sit back down and have a meeting, and we'll have Council Member Vaughn also attend that meeting, so that we can just sit there and rehash where we're at, take a look at it, and try to do this outside of today's meeting. So I look forward to that, and I'll make sure that that happens.
Councilwoman Paxson. You're there.
Thank you, Chairwoman. I just wanted to make a real quick point. Thank you, Board Member Pusley. I, of course, was no way intending to minimize the North Beach Community Association. I've known and worked with you guys, over this span, and I know you're very active, and I hope you know that I do support you guys. I should have phrased that better. I mean, the way that we communicate with you guys as far as bringing those stakeholders and sitting down, and much like Board Member Roy just said, the type of communication, the clarification of projects, that type of thing. So I just wanted to clarify.
I don't think they took it like that. North Beach is unique, for sure. And I think what we have is we have the staff with some recommendations, and we have North Beach, and we've not brought them together. And so we need to bring them together, just like Councilman Roy said, and we will do that. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Yes, ma'am, to amend. So Councilmember Paxson was amending the payout dates. She was amending the payout dates to December 2026 through December 2027. So that's what's on the floor.
Okay, so we're clear. What is the percentage? Because you had 50% and then you went to 30%. What are we voting on?
Yeah, so the suggestion is to do 30%.
So what are you?
Yeah.
My motion was to approve staff's recommendation
Okay.
with amended payout dates as recommended.
All right, making sure. Okay. Do you want to vote on here, or you want to just, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. One opposed. Motion carries. Okay, let's move on to.
We need to pass it as amended. I'm sorry. So that was the amendment, and then just pass it as amended. Thank you.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I didn't hear what you
It has.
We need to pass it as amended. So we amended it to include those payout
Still a
dates.
no.
And now we're passing it as amended. Yes. Okay.
Okay, motion carries. Let's move on to item number H, presentation discussion on the proposed FYI 2025-26 tax increment reinvestment zone, TIRZ 4 budget. We have a presentation.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Amy Cowley, Director of Management and Budget. So as Arturo mentioned earlier, this is your first view of the budget. It's really intended for you to be able to see what funding is expected to be available in FY26 so that we can have those discussions about projects to invest in. And at this next meeting in June, we'll have a second look at the budget, and it may change between now and then. So at a very high level, you can see that for FY24, our beginning fund balance was just under $1 million. We collected $1 million in revenue, and our expenses were under $500,000, so our fund balance increased in FY24 to $1.5 million. That $1.5 million becomes our beginning balance for 25. So if you look in the middle column, it has our FY25 amended budget. And you can see that the beginning fund balance is now $1.5 million roughly. Our budget for revenues is $1,182,000, and then our budget for expenditures is just under $600,000. So for FY25, our budgeted ending fund balance is $2.1 million. Our estimate is actually to have a bit higher fund balance of $2.3 million at the end of FY25. And so for our proposed FY26 budget, that $2.3 million becomes our beginning balance. We're forecasting total revenues of $1.2 million and total expenditures currently of $400,000. That's what we know today. So we would have $3.1 million available ending fund balance. This is the detail behind those revenue numbers. So we do collect property tax revenue from the city jurisdiction, from the Del Mar jurisdiction and the county jurisdiction. We do have interest that we collect in revenue, and our total proposed budget is $1.2 million. We are assuming a 2.5% increase in property taxes for FY26. The detail for our expenditures is on this slide. So you can see that we have a couple of projects that we're already committed to paying in FY26 that in the amount of $264,000. And the total is $402,000 for our FY26 proposed expenditures currently. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Do we have any questions? None. Thank you so much for your presentation. Guys, this is it. The meeting's adjourned. Wow. Thank you.